Are you a forward thinker? Then you need an HR and finance platform that thinks like you do. Workday is the AI platform that helps propel your organization, your workforce, and your industry into the future. Workday, moving business forever forward.
Good morning, Crust. It's a great day to be a bread brother.
Ugh, mornings are not my jam. Or jelly.
Oh, come on. Stop loafing around.
I just woke up feeling hollow inside.
Psst, just grab one of the new Morning Uncrustables sandwiches, like Bright-Eyed Berry or Up and Apple, filled with 12 grams of protein and tons of deliciousness. Crust, what are you eating?
It's just granola, not even yogurt.
No crust, no fuss. Uncrust your mornings.
Oh, it's such a clutch off-season pickup, Dave.
I was worried we'd bring back the same team.
I meant those blackout motorized shades.
Blinds.com made it crazy affordable to replace our old blinds.
Hard to install?
No, it's easy. I installed these and then got some for my mom. She talked to a design consultant for free and scheduled a professional measure and install.
Hall of Fame son.
They're the #1 online retailer of custom window coverings in the world.
Blinds.com is the GOAT.
Visit Blinds.com now for up to 45% off site-wide, plus a free professional measure. Rules and restrictions apply.
Hello and welcome to Islanders Anxiety from Lighthouse Hockey and the Fans First Sports Network. My name is Dan Saracini. Joining me on this very snowy Sunday evening is my friend Michael Leboff. Mike, we have a lot to get to this week. We have an AHL relocation. We have an absolutely epic Master Leaf Theater, as you all, I'm sure, expected. And we have the Islanders getting just 2 out of a possible 6 points this week, including another dreadful, awful, horrible home return game that has become this team's sort of stock and trade. I got to tell you, outside of the possible Master Leaf Theater we got coming up later, spirits are not particularly high when it comes to talking about the Islanders. We're gonna give the Leafs a lot of shit today, but the Islanders deserve a good deal of shit too, because things right now are at a very, very low ebb. But that's just me. How do you feel about the Islanders right now?
Yeah, I feel about as bad as I have since the 0-3 start, which is not very good. And I think that we were talking about the beginning of that road trip, how they're gonna head out west, and you just when these long, winding road trips, especially when the time zones come into play and you're up late, you just hope that they come back in one piece and still in it. And yeah, they did accomplish that because they got some help on the out of town scoreboard in the early part of that road trip. Not anymore, but they collected some wins. But that was a dud this week, an absolute dud. And once again, we've had this conversation. It's now been a running theme, I think, for most of the season, where the season has a lot of different components to it from the fans' perspective, which is, as we always caveat, yep, Islanders are in good shape. Future looks bright. Got this Matthew Schaefer kid. Awesome. Got that out of the way. The other thing is that we've talked a lot about how we were living in fear of the other shoe dropping because that's who we are as fans and as a fan base. And the reason we were afraid of that is because this team continually looked opportunities to get separation, to give themselves some breathing room in the eye, and decided to just we'll do it the hard way. And that's what we're at now, right? Like the losses to the Canucks, the loss to the Blue Jackets, to the Blues, that dud at home against the Wild. You can throw the dud at home against the Sabres now.
Shootout loss to the Flyers.
The Flyers shootout losses, all those. Yeah. And every time we were like, you just really hope that doesn't come back to bite you, because we know that this team is far from perfect. We know that Cole McWard is on the roster. We know that, nobody scores outside of the same 4 guys. And now in this Eastern Conference, you're a 2 or 3 game losing streak away from just tumbling down the standings. And that's what the Islanders are threatening to do right now. The Penguins have passed them, so they're now in 3rd place, ahead of this game against the Philadelphia Flyers, which is as big a game as they've had all season, in my eyes. And it's a very strange week coming up, very pivotal week coming up.
Yeah.
And they're just not playing good hockey going into this pivotal stretch. And they haven't been playing good hockey for a long time, but they've been able to get by thanks to some blooded thunder stuff from Sorokin and Schaefer and Barzell at times, Horvat before he got hurt, etc. So yeah, they've been found out a bit, and now it comes down to like, what is this team actually made of? Because this stretch here before the Olympics is huge. And I mean, the last thing any of us want is to go into that 3-week break and be like, God, the Islanders, like, pretty sure they're toast. And when I want to be excited for when they come back, right? I want to miss them during this break. And with the way things are going, I'm just gonna be happy they're gone. So this is it's kind of high times here for Dewey Crow. Like they've got like they just need to make hay this week. They have no other choice now, and they've left that they made it that way themselves by just not cleaning things up.
Yeah. Man, there's just so much to be mad about. Like, there's so many things that the more I think about this week, and the dud is, the easiest way to put it, but like just so many things that about this week that tick me off. And one of them I just noticed just before coming on here, which is that the Penguins went on a Western road trip and they won all 4 games.
Yep. And
Seattle, Edmonton, Calgary, and Vancouver.
The Devils went 3-1 on their Western road trip. They lost to Seattle tonight, but if they had won that game, they would have swept it too.
Right.
You can do that,
You can do that. And those teams aren't really any more, talented than the Islanders are, even with all of their injuries. We'll get to Isaiah George is finally getting called up. Marshall Warren also was called up too. But like, there's just so much that got dropped this week. And even in the games they won, they went 3-1 on their road trip, right? Which even Anders Lee said was average, I think was the word he used. And he's right. It wasn't the worst thing ever, but it wasn't exactly good. And they let a lot of opportunities go by, I think was another thing he said. And that's true as well. But like, it's coming at the worst possible time. And the thing that drove me the craziest, not the 5-0 loss to Buffalo. Trust me, we'll get to that in a minute. But I said after that, the final game of the road trip, I sat back and I thought about it, and I realized that if not for Simon Holmstrom in the first couple of games and Anthony Duclair in the last couple of games, this team probably would have been shut out in 3 of those 7 games, right? Like it was Holmstrom against Nashville and Minnesota, and then it was Duclair against Edmonton and Vancouver, and even Seattle. They lost, but like he kept them from getting shut out in Seattle. So like that's bad. They won 3 games, but like if you look deeper than that 3-1, the best they played like shit in 6 of those 7 games, and the only one I thought they played pretty well in was the shootout loss in Nashville. I thought they played okay in that game. It wasn't great, but frankly, the Predators didn't play great either. It was just kind of a boring game for both teams. That would be the high point of the Islanders' play for that entire road trip. And somehow they still managed to win 2 games or 3 games out of that thing and come back. And then, of course, they came back to a huge dud, which is just really embarrassing. So, like, I'm really upset. We'll get into a lot of different reasons why as we go on. But, yeah, this has been pretty bad. This is about as low as it gets. And the thing is, they're still in 3rd place. Like, yeah, the Penguins won, but they're now 4 points ahead of the Islanders right now. Fortunately, the Flyers, Devils, who else in the division? Like they're just Capitals. Yeah, like I watched the Capitals loss and losing overtime to Edmonton last night. I laughed and I said, "They take that, you Billy Zane looking motherfucker," when they showed Spencer Carberry. So like those teams they're all kind of up and down. They can't really get it together. So by like that's what you're saying is like by virtue of the fact that the rest of the division below the cut line can't seem to get it together right now, the Islanders are still in a playoff spot, but man, it is not solid. We wanted breathing room, and now we're like barely breathing. Basically, is how I look at
it. And this is where I'm going to actually say something I don't think we've said at all, which is I'm a little perturbed with the Matthew Darsh, the GM, because if you like, it's your job as a general manager to recognize where the like what your team's opportunity is in a given season, because every season's different. Sometimes the NHL is very bottom heavy. You got like 7 or 8 teams that are tanking and giving away free points, and that leads to a lot of bloated records above you, and you're just like never going to catch them, and you're like, oh well, maybe this isn't gonna, maybe we can make the playoffs, but it's not our year. And then there are other seasons where there's like crazy parity like this one, and you can be like, well, we have a very good chance of winning a round because of just where we are in the league. Like if you finish second or third in the Metro Division, you're going to play the Islanders, the Penguins, or the Flyers, maybe the Capitals, maybe the Devils, one of these teams, maybe the Blue Jackets. All those teams are incredibly flawed, and the Islanders among them, which is, you need to look at that and be like, well, if we're the team that can kind of just like plug our holes and fix our flaws, hey, maybe something can happen here. Like we're not that far off. We've got the goalie, and the Islanders have a couple of very fixable flaws on the surface that could, I'm not saying that the Islanders have lost like 8 points because they're playing Anna Boquist or Cole McWard or Travis Mitchell or Marshall Warren or Isaiah George, but it's probably like 2.5 or 3 points by now. And then if you throw in the fact that, the middle six has just been a rotation and a revolving door of mediocrity, which can also be fixed. You're looking, all right, maybe 5 points, 6 points, whatever it is. And those, I know that the team has been adamant, and like the party line is, we're not gonna sell off any of our future assets unless it's something crazy, right? They're not going to do it, nor should they, right? This is, they're going down the right path in that regard. But it wouldn't cost a lot no one would be like, oh man, I can't believe Matthew Darsh traded a 5th round pick to pick up, I don't know, Vinny Heinestroza, who always seems to score against the Islanders, right? But that's just a good NHL caliber player who can show up to your team. He can play like 15 games. He can provide energy, and then he can throw his ass on waivers, right? Because like that's just what every team does. Like these players exist out there where they can come in, they can provide a spark, and then they can, after they've kind of run their course, they then go on to their next team, whether it's at the end of a season or end of a month, whatever it is. Same goes on the blue line, right? You could just go get Robert Bortuzzo or Mike Riley or Adam Boquist, right? You could go do those things and try to patch the holes that way. I mean, Troy Stetcher is playing like 26 minutes a night for the Leafs. They did that. And maybe the Islanders were going to claim Troy Stetcher on waivers, but the Leafs were ahead of them on the waiver line, whatever it is. But those opportunities were there. They're always there for NHL GMs. You can always pick up like cheap 3rd, 4th line players who will come in, change the scenery. Maybe they work, maybe they don't. But I can tell you right now that if you brought in a Vinny Heinestroza type or a what the hell's that guy's name that we always make fun of? I think he's on the Avalanche now. He's got a very hyphenated name. Barré-Boulet.
Alex Barré-Boulet. Oh, he's an Avalanche now? I didn't even realize.
I think he is. Yeah. If you bring in Alex Barré-Boulet or one of those kind of guys, I'll tell you what, Alex Barré-Boulet or Vinny Heinestroza, maybe they don't work out, but they'll probably be a little bit better than Kyle McLean, or they could provide a little bit more of a spark than Max Siplikov is right now. So there's really no downside to it. And it's just a little frustrating because I think that the Islanders had an opportunity to just do 1 or 2 quick fixes. Hey, maybe that person is Adam Beckman in Bridgeport or Liam Foudy or whatever. Like whoever, someone else could come in here and provide some sort of jolt to this team in one way or another. And they just never really seem to explore those options, which is a little frustrating because I do think it costs them a point or two, and that's important. So I guess maybe it's like trying to read the room a little too hard, but if you're not going to at least go for it a little bit in a season like this, where you have an opportunity just by the way the chips are falling and in the conference, then it's a little, I don't know what it's cowardly almost. Yeah.
It's frustrating. It's
very frustrating because it's not, we're not saying like go trade for Bo Horvat. We're saying, hey, go get someone who's going to come in and wear like number 46.
Right.
Like, you know,
how about somebody who's not Jonathan Drouin, who is
exactly.
He has now gone a third of the season without scoring a goal. Like, and you're right.
And you know what else that could do is be like, hey, Jonathan Drouin, we just brought in Alex Barré-Boulet. So you're now on watch, right? You're now
Right.
got to like step up.
Yeah, right. And you're right. We've been really easy on Matthew Darce this whole time because he did good things during the summer, and for the most part, the team has been okay this year. But man, this was going to be my whole point, was that like if they want to stay in this playoff race and not let the Flyers or Devils or whoever jump past them, they're going to need to do something. You can't keep trotting out this lineup of boat anchors over and
Right.
over and over again. And we're going to get to those guys specifically in the Buffalo game as we go through all these games. Reminder that we are on Patreon, patreon.com/IslandersAnxiety. Tons of stuff coming out this week. So sign up any way you can. You can try a 7-day free trial of our country club tier, or you can just sign up for free, get our weekly release calendar. There's written posts, chats, everything. We'll get to more of that stuff later. Patreon.com/IslandersAnxiety. Okay. Let's finish out the road trip with the final two games, and then we'll talk about Buffalo separately. So final two games of the road trip were 4-3 win in Vancouver. Quite frankly, for the first half of this game, the Islanders played like assholes. Somehow they were only down 2-1 when Anthony Duclair scored his second of the game from Cal Ritchie, ties the game at 2. And then the next shift was also good. Matthew Schaefer to Ryan Pulock in the slot with room, unties the game, makes it 3-2 Islanders. That is as close as we're going to get to a Vanda Pharmaceutical shot of the week this week. Get you and your family vaccinated today. And from that point on, I thought the Islanders played okay. Tony DeAngelo tacked on a goal in the third period. It was an insurance goal, ended up being the game winner. They were pretty awful the entire game, but walked out with a very, very necessary 2 points. And then they followed that up with an absolutely dreary, just deflating, just unwatchable 4-1 loss in Seattle. It was Duclair again from Ritchie again on his birthday. Happy birthday, Cal Ritchie. But then it was all Seattle after that. Bernier's tips and Vince Dunn shot on a 5-on-3. Dunn again from somebody named Ryan Winterton on a 2-on-1. Then Mayfield can't control the puck behind the net. Maybe it should have been icing. What difference does it make? Jaden Schwartz to Capo Caco makes it 3-1. Philip Grubauer in the third tries a cheeky empty net goal, ends up almost becoming an icing, but Jared McCann beats it out, makes it 4-1 Seattle. That one was, Ilya Sorokin was in net for that one. Definitely wasn't on him. But they looked anemic. They looked tired. And worse, they went 1-for-7 against the worst penalty on the power play, against the worst penalty kill in the league. They played like shit in every single game in this road trip, except for the first one again against Nashville. And I was glad that the road trip was over, but man, it would have been nice to see like a good performance against either of these teams. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention the Canucks had come into that game losing 10 games in a row. So they would lose that game, then they would beat the Capitals. So thankfully, they got that over where they waited one more day before they broke that streak. And actually they helped the Islanders by beating the Capitals in regulation that game. But it looked for a long time that they were trying to do the Canucks a favor and let them off the hook. And fortunately, the Canucks bad mojo was so strong that it just it wasn't ready to let go of them just yet. But seriously, two terrible games to end it. They got 2 points out of it, but it was not encouraging in the slightest.
No, yeah, I think you did a good job, right? Just like mushing those two games together because they were both so tepid and uninspiring. It's just that one happened to come against the Canucks, who are just completely reeling right now. And
I don't know if they've won since that Capitals game. I don't think they have. But.
Yeah, they lost to the Penguins tonight, so they couldn't do us another favor. But and that game was so frustrating because the Canucks were trying really hard. Like you could see them. And we've been on the other side of this where you're watching a terrible Islanders team. You're like, man, they're trying hard, but they're just like basically banging their head against the wall. And the Islanders just, all they needed was like 4 good minutes to win that game. And that's what they had. They had like 3 or 4 minutes where they were the better team, and that was enough.
Yeah.
And they carried over that same exact recipe into the game against the Kraken that starts once again, another long 5-on-3.
Yep.
Where the Islanders just, I hate to say it, but I think like from now on, your 5-on-3 plan has to, you almost need to just sit Matt Barzal on the bench for 5-on-3s, because if you watch other teams on their 5-on-3, what do they do? They just whip the puck around very quickly, and the Islanders have a couple guys, Schaefer, Barzal, who like to have the puck on their stick, like that's their strength, which is good, but it just doesn't translate well into these situations, because if you have the puck on your stick on a 5-on-3 for more than 2 seconds, the defense could set itself as best it can. And that's what happened here. So like the Islanders, they need to like completely rethink their 5-on-3 and just power play in general again, which is very frustrating to say. The only
Right.
thing that seems to be working is when the puck finds its way to Cal Ritchie below the red line and he passes it
Right.
to Anthony Duclair. That's automatic.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's that Kraken game was incredibly frustrating because the Islanders score a goal and they're like, "Oh, this will be easy," and it just looked bad. And that game, the Canucks game was a little different because the Islanders were chasing the game, so if they were down, they almost tied it up on a crazy play by Schaefer. Then they were chasing that game for the most part. The Kraken game was, you saw that the Islanders are just carrying a ton of dead weight right now.
Yes.
And I was going to do this for the Sabres game, but I might as well just do it now and carry it into the Sabres game. But we've talked a lot about over the years during the 2021 to 2025 era of Islanders, and hey, this road trip had a lot of those elements to it.
Yeah.
Like I remember doing this exercise at least once a season where we would just do something very simple, which was list the players and just be like, are they good or bad right now? And if you did that for the Islanders, right, as we head towards this gaming in Philly, you're looking at 20 players, couple of guys who are in and out of the lineup, and boy, man, that one column, the good column, is pretty short on names, and
Yes.
and the bad column right now is pretty long because if you wanted to go through the bad column right now, you're looking at Drouin, Shabanov, McLean, Gatcomb, Siplikov.
Yeah.
I mean, Lee's in the cooler. He's struggling right now. Heineman is struggling.
I said this after the Seattle game. I put out a post on Blue Sky. It might have been during the game. I'm not even sure, but I wrote Shabanov, Siplikov, Drouin, McLean, Boqvist, Mayfield, and then honorable mention D'Angelo. I never need to see these guys play ever again. Like, I've seen enough. I could see them play 1,000 periods of hockey and they will never accomplish anything. Like, they just, and I know D'Angelo had that goal in the Vancouver game. And like, for the most part, in his tenure with the Islanders, he's been fine, but that's the problem. His ceiling is fine. All of these guys' ceiling is fine. They need guys that are better than fine. If their ceiling is fine, their floor is actively playing for the other team. Mayfield, D'Angelo, Boqvist. These guys have actively been playing for the other team in certain games. Like, McLean just doesn't playing for either team sometimes when he's out. He's just kind of skating around. So I'm with you 100%. If you listed the good players versus the bad ones, the good ones are very, very short. And one of those guys was hurt for 3 weeks. The good
right,
yeah.
right, exactly. That adds to it, right? So
Right.
and we're putting the goalies aside.
Yes.
I mean, the good list right now to me is just Horvat, Barzal, Duclair, Ritchie, Cizikas.
Basically.
And then I'm not even getting into the Schaefers and Pelech too, but it just tells you it's a lot easier just to rattle off the shoo-ins in the bad column than it is in the good column, which tells you that you get to like 5 or 6 of the good column, you're like, well, that's it. There's 23 people traveling around with this hockey team. That means there's like 16 of them are just not doing anything.
Right.
And the other way to look at it is, and Simon Holmstrom's been good too, so not to forget that. But the other way to think about it is like the Brock Nelson test. Brock Nelson, by the way, had a hat trick today against the Leafs.
Yes.
He's still the best player on the Islanders, even though he's on the on the Avalanche. The Brock Nelson test is how often in his career he scored some 300 goals for the Islanders, a little more than 300 goals. Would he be just skating?
Just shy of 300, I think.
Yeah, and of those, he just would be skating down the ice from maybe like the red line, and you'd be like, oh, this is gonna be a goal. I can leave the room and I will come back and we'll be lining up for a face-off and they'll be saying, it's Brock Nelson's 18th goal of the season.
Right.
And right now on the Islanders, how many guys are you confident with the puck on their stick when they're like skating in on the goal? And we saw this in the Sabres game a lot, breakaway, odd man rush, something. And you're like, all right, this is a good chance of going in. Right now it's Duclair. And as you said, Horvat was hurt, so he can be disqualified.
Probably.
Yeah, like Duclair, Holmstrom, Schaefer.
Maybe Holmstrom, yeah.
Yeah, and I think you could flip a coin on Barzal. And then, honestly, the next person on that list is probably Cizikas, which is crazy.
Right. Yeah.
Because, and Richie's been fine too, but, like, I'm not confident in almost anyone right now to score goals. It feels like it did during the 2021, 22, 22, 23, 23, 24, 24, 25 season, which is like you can't like conjure up an image of an easy Islanders goal right now. It feels very like they need to push a boulder up a hill to score a goal.
Yes.
And yeah, that's not good because they also have plenty of defensive warts, and that's more personnel driven, I think, than anything. So yeah, and then that just carried right home like against the Sabres, and that was I don't know how many Islander fans had the same exact conversation that you and I did, but I heard it from everyone, which is matinee. I mean, we pinpointed this game like 3 weeks ago, like, oh, matinee after the long road trip, kids in the building on a weekend. The Islanders just will never win this game.
Yeah.
And in the back of your head, you're like, I'm saying this out loud because I want them to prove me wrong. I want to wear egg on my face, knowing full well that there's just no chance it's going to happen. Like, there's just no chance that the Islanders are going to win. They could have been playing the Sabres from last season, the season before, not this team that's been shot out of a cannon. And they're just not winning that game. And they showed up to that game and also Alex Lyons in goal.
Right.
If your life depended on the Islanders losing a game, and you're like, oh, but you can pick any NHL players to be on the team playing the Islanders, most people would be like, all right, we should have Connor McDavid, we should have Nathan McKinnon, we'll have Dominik Hasek in goal or Henrik Lundqvist, and it'd be like, no. What you want to do is you want Yuri Tulutsky up front, you want Alex Lyon in goal,
right?
And you definitely Alex Lyon just doesn't give up anything to the Islanders. So like this game had all the makings of an absolute dud, but other teams can win these games.
Yeah.
The Islanders just can't do it because of these guys. They just can't surprise us. They just do not surprise us here.
It's all right. So yeah. So let me just wrap up. So with the road trip, they come home 3-1. It's good enough, I guess. I think at that point had sunk to, I think they were still in second at the end of the trip. And then the next day, I think the Penguins won and kicked them back down to third. So already, they're not getting any help. The Penguins are in one of those modes where they're never going to lose a game ever again. So yeah, they come home, they have 2 days off, right? So they even made a point of saying on the broadcast after the Seattle game, they're going to leave tomorrow. They're going to go back to the hotel, sleep, and then leave because that was a Wednesday game. And then they're going to leave on Thursday and then come home, right? So you think, okay, they got an extra day. They are coming home and they're playing a matinee. And like you said, and I don't want to forget about Barzal because I want to get to him in a minute, but this is the other thing that has made me really, really mad this week. And that is that it cannot possibly be this hard for this team to win one fucking matinee game in a season. Like, we're going on a 15-year streak here where this team literally never wins a game in the daytime. They are incapable of winning a game that starts before 7 p.m. Okay? They lose at 1, they lose at 3, they lose at 4, they lose at 5, and they lose at 6. Every single time, no matter what, no matter where they are, they will lose that game. This was egregious. I mean, to lose 5-0, I'm not even going to go through all the goals here. Jason Zucker had 2. It was just really awful. I mean, just they gave up goals at the beginning of the second period, right at the end of the second period, which got all mad. And he said something about either every fucking game or every fucking time, something like that. Barzal, Lee, Duclair benched the entire third period. So what happens? The Islanders come out, they give up a goal right away, first shift of the third period, and that was it. Game was over. I mean, it was over after the first goal, but this was really over. Like you said, Alex Lyon was the first star. He made 27 saves. The Rittich gave up 3 bad goals. I think in each of them, he was literally looking the other way when the Sabres scored. It was of course, Kids Day. So the place is packed to the gills, and this is what you get. And I will disagree with you on one thing. You were like, if an Islander's coming down the lane, who do you think you can see scoring a goal? I would not put Matt Barzal on that list because he had chances in this game. And he would give them up. At one point, he was in the slot. He had Lyon dead to rights right in front of him. And he passed to Anders Lee, who was standing by the boards at a 90-degree angle to the goal. Why Anders Lee was over there, I don't know. Why Barzal passed to him, I don't know. if they had scored there, would anything have happened? I don't know. But I saw that happen, and I was like, that right there is the problem. This team just simply cannot just put a puck on the net and hope it goes in. Give credit to Anthony Duclair, because he's been doing that recently, and he's got, 8 goals in 9 games, or 9 goals in 8 games, something like that. But like, that's great. And Richie and him have been a nice combination. But of course, Duclair didn't play the third period because they didn't back check at the end of the second period, gave up a goal, and that's it. So the third period of that game, which is the other thing that made me super mad this week, I know it just keeps layer and layer, was that it was literally 20 straight minutes of Jonathan Drouin. And like, that nothing was going to come of that. And to his, he lived up to his season so far in that absolutely no, whatever shots the Islanders had were not dangerous. They weren't high danger. They weren't anything. And they end up with a 5-0 loss, which was absolutely devastating, just devastating. Now, thankfully, a couple of other teams lost this week, like we were saying, but man, you can't do that to these people. We saw you guys lose to St. Louis after the first trip. That was demoralizing. It was 2-1, right? That was another dreary affair. This is even worse, at a worst possible time. Half of this team was absolutely ice cold. Not half, more than 3/4 of this team is absolutely ice cold. And this is what you do. And meanwhile, Waz like, oh yeah, I benched those guys because they didn't back check. Dude, you guys don't score. Forget it. I get the frustration. I get you don't want to give up goals at that spot. And you got to, and the other thing too is like, well, this is all about accountability. No, this is about discipline. There's a difference. We talked about this when Barzal was scratched because he was late. There's a difference between accountability and discipline. This team is not accountable. They're not accountable to themselves. Nobody looks at the other guy and is like, I'm going to do this for you. I'm going to make your job easier by doing my job correctly. If they did that, they wouldn't lose every single matinee game. They wouldn't lose. They wouldn't give up goals at the first and second, the first shift and the last shift of the period. They wouldn't do that. They wouldn't play like shit for 6 straight road games and barely scratch together 3 wins. Like, they would be playing for themselves. Right now, nobody's playing for anybody. I don't know. I'm not even, like, their power play has completely lost the plot. They're not even trying to score goals. I don't even know what they're trying to do. It's demoralizing and it's depressing. And they cannot continue to count on other teams losing if they want to make the playoffs, And if they want to, they're going to need some help somehow, some way, because these guys ain't cutting it. Again, the guys I listed before, it just ain't working. It's not working here. Get somebody in here who can, or run with these guys and then, miss the playoffs and be like, well, it was a development year, whatever.
Right.
I don't know if that's going to fly, but I can see them doing that too.
That's what I feel like they're going to do.
Yeah, me too.
Right? Like, I feel like they're just like, well, what did you expect? And you're like, well, I mean, we were 50 games into the season and 2 points behind the first place team of the division.
Right.
They
were within 3 points of Carolina.
Yeah.
Like 2 weeks ago.
Right. and not only that, but our most likely opponents in the first round are very beatable.
Yes. Right.
So I don't really understand why you wouldn't go for it. And I go back to like the GM thing, which is like, I understand that like the new age of sports is like you get a grace period. Like the first year is like an evaluation season. Like,
right.
That is bull, right? Like, no, it's not. Like, it's an entire season, and we're living through it every day. Yeah. It's not an evaluation season. You're coming into a professional sports team. Like, you should try to win, and especially in a team like this where it's a lot of veteran guys, and you were in close to first place for the first 50 games. Like, if Lou Lamoriello or Gar Snow were the GM right now, we'd be like, "What? Oh my God! Wake up! Like, go fix this!" Right?
Right.
Because the GM changed, it's like, well, what do you want? What do you expect him to do? He's still trying to get used to the Meadowbrook Parkway. Like, let him conquer that.
And now a word from our sponsors. VintageIceHockey.com. Over 100 classic hockey logos on t-shirts, jerseys, hats, mugs, and more. Long Island Ducks, Albany Riverettes, Danbury Trashers, Kentucky Thoroughblades, and so many more. Plus a full line of Islanders Anxiety merch with our portion of the sales going directly to the Center for Dementia Research. These incredible items cannot be found in stores, so shop VintageIceHockey.com today. Relax, sit back, and enjoy wine from The Pinot Project. Rosé, Pinot Grigio, or a Pinot Noir that was named a Best Buy by Wine Enthusiast magazine. These wines are delicious, affordable, and available at area wine shops and at UBS Arena. Learn more at thepinotproject.com. And please, drink responsibly.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
The world moves fast. Your workday, even faster. Pitching products, drafting reports, analyzing data. Microsoft 365 Copilot is your AI assistant for work. Built into Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and other Microsoft 365 apps you use. Helping you quickly write, analyze, create, and summarize. So you can cut through clutter and clear a path to your best work. Learn more at Microsoft.com/M365 Copilot.
How does PwC take your company to the leading edge? They bring the sharpest minds in tech to your team, so you can bring the ideas that will transform your business. They're passionate about your industry, so you can walk into any room with every advantage. And they're with you every step of the way, so you can know you're headed in the right direction. PwC builds for what's next, so you can get there now. Get started at pwc.com/us/leading edge.
New Year, same extra value meals at McDonald's. So now get 2 snack wraps, plus fries, and a medium soft drink for just $8.
For limited time only. Prices and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Hawaii, Alaska, and California, and for delivery.
Every sip of Coca-Cola brings you closer to the excitement of the FIFA World Cup 26. Because nothing compares to the joy. So grab a Coke and drink in the FIFA World Cup 26. No purchase necessary. 13 plus in 50 U.S. states and D.C. with a web-enabled device. Ends March 1st with 8 entry periods. Rules at cokeurl.com/soccer rules.
The other thing that drives me crazy, and Lou Lamoriello did this too, how long does the evaluation period last? Because again, I've been evaluating these guys for 50 whatever games, and I have evaluated them to be worthless. Like again, I'm sure. And the thing is, like, in all seriousness, like, these guys are obviously trying out there. Like they're all trying. Drouin keeps getting more and more mad that he doesn't score. They're trying. They want to win. I appreciate that. But at some point, the results have to matter. Right. And like, they're not getting any results from these guys.
And they're not. This isn't like building Stonehenge. These are very. These are simple fixes. Like the Islanders aren't in some like crazy cap situation.
Right.
They don't have like a ton of guys on like crazy no trade clauses.
Right. Yeah.
Or anything like that. You know what you could do is you could waive Kyle McLean and you can put Jonathan Drouin in the press box or in the 4th line and be like, well, dude, like, we appreciate the effort, but you've got as many goals as
right.
Like as you've got as many goals as I don't even know this season in Mark Gatcomb in the last 2 months, 3 months, whatever it's been. And
he hasn't scored on a shot, like an actual shot, since November, because like the last goal he had like went off of his foot or something.
Right. Yeah, against Utah. Yeah.
Right.
So like if Patrick Roy looked at Joe Drouin in the eye and was like, yeah, man, I got to scratch you or I got to put you on the 4th line. We're sending Mac down we're putting Mac on waivers. He'd be like, yeah, I would do that too, because I haven't scored since before Thanksgiving and it's almost Valentine's Day. Like that's totally understandable. So like these are fixable issues where the Islanders could very easily maneuver things around and plug some gaps or find somebody who can show up and do what. Do you remember what Emil Heineman did when he first came to the Islanders? He was just like scoring every night. Like, guys, you get a guy and they a lot of times just have a shot of adrenaline because they're in a new place. They've got to impress a new coach and they're just ripping the puck. I mean, hell, we kind of even saw it with Drouin in the beginning, right? He was in the mix of everything. He was getting involved in scrums. He was setting up Horvat and Barzal all the time, but they just need something like that. And it's not it's not that hard. And if you're not going to make the simple fixes, then what are we to like? Then we go back to what we were saying in the beginning of the season, which is like, what is important to the team in the season?
Right.
Is it to win hockey games, make the playoffs, and maybe even win a round in the playoffs because of the way the conference is shaken out? Or is it to just continue to make people comment on, their Instagram posts and stuff like that? Like, and I don't really know, like, where are the priorities of this team? Because every time you hear Matthew Darsh talk, which he does a lot, by the way.
Yeah.
He likes to pop up. And maybe this is just the way GMs work now, which is, and Justin Bourne brought this up a couple times this season, which is GMs like their favorite thing to do is get into a place and be like, I got to rebuild everything, because that's like saying to the owner, hey, don't rush. Like, we might have a bad season, but it's a rebuild. Whereas like Darsh is, he's not that, desperate, but he's like, yeah, it's, new. We're not signing guys to term. We want to keep the future in mind, all good things. But at the same time, man, you're not 13 points out of the playoffs. You're in a playoff spot. You're on the verge of squandering one, and it just would not take that much,
right,
to fix these things or to improve them even slightly. And when you're going up against the Devils, who have spent the last 2 months having a tantrum, or the Capitals who are reeling, or the Penguins who have like 3 good players and then a lot of guys who nobody's ever heard of, it doesn't take that much. Like, getting Mike Riley, like they did a couple seasons ago, could be the difference. Like, that could be the difference of it. And and the Island, they don't seem too bothered by it, and it's funny how this kind of, it's not a swoon yet, but they're sputtering, they're scuffling. We're not in full-blown swoon territory, but it's just so funny how losses, they have consequences, and they just make you paint things differently in your mind. Like, had the Islanders, they beat Minnesota, they skate on that pond, they're leveling up, they're laughing it up, and then had they stormed through the rest of that road trip and come home in like good standing, we'd be like, oh my God,
right,
that we got to build a statue on that pond. But now I'm just like, God damn it, I don't ever want to see a picture of them I don't want to see Ilya Sorokin in an Edina high school jersey ever again, because I'm like, that's just going to remind me of this road trip, which just made me feel sour. Right. And that's just how sports are, right? You're fickle like that. But yeah, so now all this stuff is just making my skin crawl anytime I see like this kind of stuff. I'm like, well, win a game. Go win a game first before we break this out.
Dude, after the second period of the Sabres game, Shannon comes on, and again, we love Shannon. She's great. She comes on and she's like, stop in the Isles Lab to see the latest collab with Hello Kitty. And it's like, I got to watch the Islanders collab with Hello Kitty, like this beloved, decades old character that is, beloved the world over, is, signed a contract with my Islanders, and they're making stuff. And I, in a different circumstance, I'd be like, I got to get my wife a Hello Kitty Islander shirt, because she loved that. Now I was like, are you fucking serious? Like, you're losing 3-0 to the Sabres, and you're coming on talking about Hello Kitty. Like, please, seriously, do we have to do this right now? Like, so you're right. It like, and when I was at my maddest during, I think it was the Seattle game, I may have texted to you. I may have thought about it. I don't even know. It felt like the pond was like the highlight of the season. Like, they had decided that it wasn't going to get better than that. And that's it. They're done. Because since then it's been pretty lousy, and then it was pretty lousy in the Minnesota game too. But, I forgot, they lost to Winnipeg, where they played like shit. Also, I completely forgot about that game. They played like shit in that game. They had a little bit of a comeback, and then they went right back to playing like shit. So, this is, on one hand, I get that they don't want to make a big trade and like blow a lot of draft capital or whatever, trade capital. I totally understand that, but you're right. Like, we don't need to see 24 minutes of Jonathan Drouin, and we don't need to see any more Kyle McLean, and we don't need to see any more Adam Boakfist. We did see Isaiah George this week and Marshall Warren. Again, they didn't play that well. Frankly, I thought they both played okay, I guess. I mean, they didn't do anything that made me mad, so I guess that's okay. But like, I'd rather see those guys than Boakfist. Like, I don't need to see Boakfist anymore. Like, I'm done with those guys. As far as the 2 Russians go, again, I'm glad they tried it. Like, I think they were worthy experiments. The same with Drouin. And I get that, like, you don't want to tell this guy who flew 5,000 miles across the country to make it in the U.S. that it just ain't working, but you got to do something. It just ain't working. That's the bottom line. There's nothing happening right now. Again, I don't know if I mentioned this last time, but like people keep saying, oh, Sipakov needs to get back to his game. What is his game exactly? Like, will somebody please tell me what his game is? Because I don't remember one. If he had one, I forgot it. Like I don't remember. Like, what is his game? I don't know what it is. And Shabanov, God love the guy, he's just too small. Like it's just not working for him. Somebody gets in his way. Oh, and that's the other thing too. Forget about, without regardless of Shabanov. Another thing I've noticed with the Islanders, and the Sabres did this, and we saw the Flyers do this earlier this year. We saw the Capitals do this. If you pressure them even the slightest physically, they will wilt instantaneously. They are just not built for any sort of physical game whatsoever. And maybe it's because one of their best players is an 18-year-old defenseman who looks like he weighs maybe 110 pounds soaking wet. I don't know. That's just how Matthew Schaefer's built. But like, they will wilt instantaneously. And the Sabres, they got some big boys. They were throwing their bodies around, and the Islanders just were not equipped to fight back. And it's just, that is another demoralizing thing. Again, we saw the Capitals literally bully the Islanders in a game at UBS Arena. We saw the Flyers have done it now, 2 or 3 times this season. So just not good. It's not a good look. And their season could be slipping away from them. And, like we said, maybe that's what they want in a way. They just want to like, let it play out, see where it goes. Maybe they'll make a little move here at the deadline or whatever, but just before the Olympics, who knows? But from a fan standpoint, it's really hard to get up for these games, and that'll lead us right into the next week, which, like you said, is a huge one. 3 games against division opponents, 2 against the Rangers on back-to-back nights, and then a game on Saturday at home against Nashville, who they beat at home last year, in fairness. But again, we just saw them lose again. Oh, and it all starts tonight, Monday, Philadelphia, snowy Philadelphia. As far as I know, the Islanders were already there, so they didn't have to like get delayed by the snow. But at least the good news is all those games start at 7:00
right.
against the Flyers, and then again Rangers Wednesday and Thursday both at 7:00, and then the Predators on Saturday at UBS at 7:00. The Thursday Ranger game, by the way, is at the Garden. Wednesday's at home. So, I mean, if they scuttle or scuffle this week, let's say they pick up 3 out of these 8 points, something along those lines, man, I think this season might be over before the Olympic break, especially against the Flyers. I mean, the Ranger season is essentially over, but like if the Flyers pick up 2 clean points in that on Monday, they're going to be feeling pretty good about themselves, even though they probably shouldn't. So it's going to be bad. It's going to be bad. How do you look at this week? And what do you see?
I'm with you, right? Like they are, oh, by the way, can I also say something about that Flyers game?
Yeah.
You wouldn't believe this, Dan, but the Philadelphia Flyers are playing the New York Islanders at home on a Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern time after a week-long road trip.
Oh.
So they're coming home after a long road trip.
Wow.
So, wow. Can you believe it?
You know, I've heard that's the hardest game to win is that first game back after a road trip. That's what I've heard anyway.
So we'll see. Yeah, it's a week-long trip out west for the Flyers, coming home to play the Islanders. Huge game.
Yeah.
But the hockey gods are against them. So, but in all seriousness, this Flyers game is the most important game of the season. So they as you said, right, 4 games this week, 2 against the Rangers, and then the Predators to close out this little 4-game week. But it all starts with this Flyers game. I mean, they lose to the Flyers, as you said, in regulation tomorrow. If they lose to the Flyers just regardless tomorrow, the alarm bell should be ringing, and maybe then you start to see the true colors of like how this team views this season. And it would be really frustrating if they're like, it's just as you keep saying, they just wanted to see how let the things play out as they would. And I'm loath to give Kyle Dubas credit for anything, but if you've noticed, like every 6 or 7 weeks, the Penguins are picking up a random body. They just are. Like they got the guy from Columbus, that Chinikov guy. They made a bunch of other depth trades that probably got praised to the moon.
Yeah.
We talked
These are all
about
tidy pieces of
yeah,
business
a lot
for
of
Kyle
there's just so much there's a lot of tidy pieces of business littered throughout the season for the Penguins. Whereas the Islanders have not done anything. Like they just haven't done a thing, and they haven't been even like threatening to do a thing.
Right.
And to the point where they won't even just sit Kyle McLean for like more than 4 games in a row. And
Yeah.
once again, bless his heart. I don't mean to be harsh on Kyle McLean, who has a motor on him and works hard and takes seems like takes a lot of pride in being a New York Islander.
Yeah.
But he's still Kyle McLean. Like, what is the worst case scenario of just being like, yeah, we're going to put Kyle McLean on waivers? The Ducks pick him up and he scores 6 goals this season. Like, okay, like good.
You know, his dad is being inducted into the Devils Ring of Honor this week. So maybe it's a good time to trade him across the river.
Right. Yeah.
To the Devils, his hometown team.
And so like if they do lose to the Flyers and like they don't seem to have any rumblings of a shakeup or anything, I'd be really disappointed. But this Flyers game is so big because then you go in, if you lose it, you go into this back-to-back with the Rangers, and the Rangers could be like, well, you know, our season's over, but we can ruin the Islanders.
100%.
And yeah, exactly. And I don't even know if the Rangers are even have that in their locker right now, because they've been so demoralized.
Right.
And they're an absolute husk of a team right now. And but at the same time, I'd be shitting bricks before that game if they lose to the Flyers. And the flip side is you beat the Flyers, and you know, then you're going into that Ranger game, you're like, wow, these are 2 very winnable games. We can basically pick ourselves right back up, make up for that lousy end to the road trip and the dud at home, and go into that Predators game, which is another winnable game. You're at home against the Predators. You can win that game.
Right.
But it all really comes down to this Flyers game. And I think that I got no confidence that they're going to rise to the occasion, because that's just not what they've been doing this year.
Yeah.
Like, even I said before, like, this team just doesn't surprise us. And that Sabres game is the perfect example of it, which is the script says the Islanders lose this game. Like they not only do they lose this game, they probably get shut out. They show it. They send all these kids home very disappointed. Maybe they got their Hello Kitty stuff, but they're not seeing a win. And so like, they're not going to surprise you in that regard. When the Islanders do pick up surprising results, like when they beat the Oilers the first time or the second time, or when they pull off the win against the Avalanche, most of the time you're like, wow, that was, you know, surprising. But at the same time, we're like, yeah, well, that's kind of just what they've been doing this season, which is they've been beating these teams that are better than them, or these random juggernauts. Like they swept the Lightning, they beat the Gold, they swept the Golden Knights, like all this. That's just what it's when we look back on it, be like, well, it's not that surprising. What would be surprising if they beat the Sabres at home at 1:00? Like that would actually be much more surprising than sweeping the Lightning. And I would be very surprised if the Islanders go into Philadelphia tomorrow and do anything more than come out with, like, I don't know, 2 goals. I would.
Right.
Because I don't, where are they coming from? Bo Horvat's playing his second game since he came back.
Yeah. I will say you're right, but I'm glad you mentioned Bo, because I thought he looked really good in the Sabres game. Obviously he didn't score, but I thought he was moving well. I thought he looked like Bo Horvat. So that's good. So maybe he will score.
He's like, what happened? Like, I was only out like a couple of weeks, and
he might have been pissed off because he said it was hard watching everybody, from over here. And I guess he missed the skate too at Anders Lee's Pond. So maybe that's the secret to him being good. But, again, we've been sitting here, we're trashing these guys for almost an hour now. We get it. Dudes are hurt. The schedule is insane. Everybody's schedule is completely insane. The road trip that we've been talking about that, was only okay, took, I think it was 17 days, right?
Yeah.
It's like half a month away from their families and places like Edmonton and Winnipeg and Vancouver. And it's like, it's hard. Yeah. Barzell's family's there, whatever. But like, that's tough to do. And like, we get all that. We understand that. But like, if you want to make this season something and not just like, yeah, they were all right that year, you guys got to do something. Either somebody's got to do something. Either you guys have to step up and some of you guys have to start putting the puck in the net, or management has to step up and be like, these guys aren't working. maybe we bring somebody else in, maybe we trade some of these guys, we give somebody a fresh start, that whole thing. Like you start talking to guys and maybe be like, hey, listen,
Right.
it's not working. There's still time left for you. We to trade you before the Olympic break. You can get situated with your other team, come back on the other side, play with them, make something, the last 30 games of the year. We can make something in the last 30 games of the year because it's just not working. Somebody's got to do something. And you'll notice I left out the coach because I have no faith in the coach either. And last week was such a packed episode. Thanks again to our good friend Dominic Yansky for coming on and doing an absolutely killer Master Leaf Theater. We're going to do one in a little bit. Dom's not here, but he was fantastic. The two best Master Leaf Theaters, by the way, were the ones narrated by Dom and our friend Mike Smith. And there's no coincidence about it. People come on, they give it their all. It's amazing. But we said it was so packed last week, we could not even talk about Patrick Waugh talking about pulling the goalie early and telling Andrew Gross of Newsday when he asked him, like, why do you do that? Is that some kind of, is there like a numbers analytic thing? He said, I don't give a shit about analytics. And they cut that out of the official post-game presser video, which is disappointing because we know, Coach, we know you don't give a shit about analytics, man. We get it. But he's just going to keep trotting these guys out. He keeps changing the lineup. He keeps changing the D pairs. He keeps changing the lines. This is like deck chairs on the Titanic 101. Like there's just, maybe they're not the Titanic yet.
No,
but you're definitely just rearranging deck chairs you're rearranging deck chairs on a very leisurely cruise ship right now. It's just,
and it's raining. Yeah. It's raining.
That's raining.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, it's a good way to put it. And you said it, like, I'm fully aware that the Islanders are currently in a playoff spot right now, and nobody expected that. But that was in October. We're now 50 games into a season, so we're now looking at it from a different perspective.
Circumstances have changed.
Circumstances have changed 100%, and it feels like the team is like, nah, we're still that same. We're still in that same spot back on October 1st, when everyone's just like, woo, like the new era is here. Like, yeah, the new era is here. It was going really well a couple weeks ago, and now I feel like it's not, and it's all because of just a few little things. And I love that you were like, yeah, these guys are tired, they're tough. I think it's so funny that in my mind, especially, and I always fall into this trap with the Islanders, I almost like view them as if like they're just working a normal job. Like if they're like, man, I got a couple weeks of work coming up. Like I got to go to Winnipeg, I got to Edmonton. Like it's just going to be really tiring. I'm like,
right.
Yeah, man, that does sound like it sucks. Like, I'm sorry to hear that. Like, no. Other teams go and do this. Like they go and do this and they succeed at it sometimes. Like you guys can do it too. And oh yeah, when I come home, I just, want to relax and see my family. And like, oh yeah, no, I totally get it, man. Like I would feel the same way. No, wait. You can win that game. You can win that game because you're a professional hockey team. But I always fall into the trap of almost like viewing, and this is my own doing because of the way we've talked about these guys for so long. But yeah, like you can go ahead and win these things. I don't think we're going to see the Flyers come in on Monday and be like, yeah, a long road trip and, first game back. So we're just going to hand this one over to the Islanders as they did to the Sabres the other night. Right. It's just not in our locker to win this one. But it's really a tough balance to be like, yeah, I'm grateful that the Islanders are in the spot they're in right now, but also I'm watching them bumble it away, and it feels like nobody really cares except for us. Like the fans are the only ones who are like, manager's like, whoa, but the Belmont Park Village is open.
Yeah. No, please, again, another Shannonism, the Belmont Park Village. I don't want to get into a whole new topic here because we're about to close off this first half, but it gets back to something I was talking about last year, the toxic positivity, like where nobody's ever like nobody's ever mad about what happened. And but I feel like it's getting closer to that because there have been a couple of post-game things where Lee has looked pretty pissed off. I've even seen Schaefer look a little bit like, I'm kind of mad about stuff, but it's got to translate to wins, guys. It's got to translate to wins. You can only play the never get too high, never get too low things so far before somebody's going to have to get high. Somebody's going to have to get low and maybe do something here to make a win materialize. And it's got to start Monday night. You can't wait until the end of the week. Like if they beat the Rangers, that's great. But like, again, that Flyers game, you're right. That Flyers game it's huge. I don't want to say the season, but it's very close.
It's definitely the most important game. We talked about like Ryan Pulock a few weeks ago. I think it might have been against a Ranger game where he was like, "Yeah, this is like a huge game for us, like probably the most important of the season." And just something as simple as that, which is not coming out and solving, a crazy algebra equation to the press. It's just simply stating the truth. I was like, wow, we never hear the Islanders kind of say that kind of stuff. They just don't. And I mean, if I would love to hear the coach or one of the players tomorrow morning skate pregame be like, yeah, we have no excuse. Like, this is a huge game for us. If we want to be a playoff team, we need to just go win this game. And be like, wow.
Yeah.
That is not what I expected.
Right. And like start on time and keep it going. Don't have a great first period, come out 0-0 or 1-0, and then immediately give it back with a shitty second period. Like I feel like we've seen every possible like combination. Like you said, they never surprise us. So if they were to come out, let's say they come out and they have a dynamite first period, right? We know what's going to happen. They're going to be up 1-0, if anything.
Right.
And then
I'm going to text you and be like, I feel like we should be up a lot more than this. And that's terrible.
And then they're going to come out in the second period and the Flyers are going to have the first 5 shots on goal. And one of us is going to text the other one and be like, here it comes, and we all know it doesn't mean that they lost the game, but we all know what's happening. This game is going to be tied 2-2 or 3-3 or whatever at the end of this period, despite the fact that they had all the momentum in the first period. Like we've seen all these things happen. Or if the Flyers come out gangbusters in the first period, we know what's going to happen then. The Islanders are going to have a great second, get within a goal, give up one early in the third, play okay, and then give up the empty netter. Like we've seen these movies play out 1,000 times, like a TV show. We've seen these different shows play out over and over again. And this one has to end with a win, and a convincing one would be very helpful. In case you haven't noticed by now, we did the last week and this upcoming week in the first half because we have such a packed show. So what I'm going to do is put this half out as the first part of the episode, and then the second part will come out a little bit later on Monday. That will cover the news about the Bridgeport organization moving to Hamilton, which we have some actual reporting on now. And of course, our epic Master Leaf Theater. The reason for doing this is because the weather is kind of thrown all of us for a loop here. So my quote unquote recording studio isn't exactly mine for a little while here. So I want to kind of break it up, and I'm going to put out part 2 in the morning. So very quickly, just to end this part here, like I said before, a lot of things coming up at the Patreon this week. On Tuesday is our latest Country Club Atmosphere episode, exclusively for Country Club tier members. We talk about our favorite snow days and snow day memories because, it was kind of on mind last week when we recorded that. So that's Tuesday. And then on Friday, is Dan's Islanders Book Club. Another book I read there that's an interesting one. It was a good one. It's an Islanders focused book. Had a lot of stories in there from guys who, I grew up watching, and no matter what era you're in, you probably grew up watching too. So check that out. Those are both for Country Club tier members. And again, look for part 2 of this episode coming out later on Monday. Probably by the time you hear this, that episode will be out. Okay. So check that out and you can get the full end of it there. Okay. So meet us over there. Thanks.